What's up, y'all? It's Jordan with North American Adventures. The journey today takes us through the untamed lands of wild Alaska during the peak of summer as we explore by air, ice, and sea. Although this is not my own personal adventure, I have been asked to share the magical experience with you all. If you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Denali National Park and Preserve, formerly known as Mount McKinley National Park, is located in interior Alaska, centered on Denali, federally designated as Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in North America. The park and contiguous preserve encompass over 6 million acres, which is larger than the state of New Hampshire. A helicopter tour is an ideal way to explore the vast wilderness, and the Temsco Company tour site promotes the experience beautifully. I'll try out my professional voice. Walk upon an ancient glacier tucked away deep in the Alaska Range. Your adventure begins at our private heliport. Immediately upon liftoff, you will be immersed in the vastness of the Denali National Preserve. On your way to the massive Unert Glacier, your pilot will serve as your guide through this unique glacially carved environment. Soar over the rolling tundra, keeping an eye out for local residents like caribou, moose, bear, and Dall sheep. Snow-capped peaks and glaciers abound on this journey before you set down on a river of ice. Enjoy 15 to 20 minutes of glacial exploration with endless photo opportunities. After flying over the Nenana River, a prominent geological feature I will detail later, the tour crosses forests and tundra, heading deep into the mountains, towards the base of Mount Deborah, where the Unert Glacier is located. Mount Deborah is one of the major peaks of the eastern Alaska Range. Despite its low absolute elevation compared to other major peaks in North America, it is particularly large and a steep peak in terms of its quick rise over local terrain. For example, the northeast face rises 7,000 feet, about 2,000 meters and approximately 1.5 miles, giving it a noticeable facade. This steepness, combined with difficult access, harsh weather, and classic Alaskan ice and snow features, make this a challenging peak to climb. Mount Deborah was named in 1907 by James Wickersham for his first wife, Deborah Susan Wickersham. James Wickersham was born on August 24, 1857, and passed October 24, 1939. He was a district judge for Alaska appointed by U.S. President William McKinley to the 3rd Judicial District in 1900. He resigned his post in 1908 and was subsequently elected as Alaska's delegate to Congress, serving until 1917 and then being re-elected in 1930. He was instrumental in the passage of the Organic Act of 1912, which granted Alaska territorial status. He also introduced the Alaska Railroad Bill, legislation to establish McKinley Park, and the first Alaska Statehood Bill in 1916. He was among those responsible for the creation of the Alaska Agricultural College and School of Mines, which later became the University of Alaska. Landing at the base of Mount Deborah on the Unert Glacier offers a unique close-up perspective of the Alaskan landscape. The Unert Glacier is approximately 19 miles or 30 kilometers long. Its elevation is around 4,000 feet or 1,200 meters above sea level. The climatic conditions that form glaciers are ideal in Alaska. Regions of high snowfall in the winter and summers cool enough to prevent all of the accumulated snow from melting or evaporating. A glacier grows as the snow accumulates over time, compresses into ice, and begins to flow under the pressure of its own weight. As a glacier nears the end of its cycle, it retreats, dramatically changing the face of the Earth it leaves behind. Glaciers are generally grouped into two categories. Valley glaciers spread out and down as they carve around mountains and down into the sea, and continental glaciers or ice sheets spread outward in all directions from a central point. An example of the latter would be the massive Sargent ice field in the Chugach National Forest past Kenai Fjords National Park. In southeast Alaska, many highly active tidewater glaciers calve daily as giant pieces of ice crack off the front of the glacier and fall into the sea. These types of glaciers can also calve from underneath the water, shooting ice missiles through the surface, creating large splashes, which we'll see later in the video. Most glaciers advance mere inches a day, but there are a few that go through periods of huge advance, galloping down mountainsides hundreds of feet daily. For example, the Surging Glacier in Russell Fjord Wilderness takes off once every 20 years or so. More than 2/3 of the surging glaciers on the entire North American continent are found in Alaska. Specifically, Unert Glacier surged in 2000 and 2001, then returned to a quiet phase where it rests now. There are many whitewater rafting and kayaking opportunities throughout Alaska, particularly in the Denali Wilderness. The Nenana River we flew over earlier is a tributary of the Tanana River, approximately 140 miles or 230 kilometers long. It issues from the Nenana Glacier in the northern Alaska Range southwest of Mount Deborah, approximately 100 miles or 160 kilometers south of Fairbanks. It flows briefly southwest, then west, then north, forming the eastern boundary of Denali National Park and Preserve. The Nenana supports populations of Alaska blackfish, Arctic grayling, Arctic lamprey, broad whitefish, burboe, chum salmon, humpback whitefish, king salmon, lake chubs, and slimy sculpins. Historical exploration of the river began in 1887 with Lieutenant Henry Allen of the U.S. Army. In 1898, members of the United States Geological Survey reported that people living along the river called it Tootloot. A century later, linguist William Bright wrote that the river's name derived from the lower Tanana Athabascan word ninano, meaning the stopping while migrating stream. Boat tours and charters of larger bodies of water are also great ways to tour the state and stay dry. Seward, in southeast Alaska, is a premier launching point for many of the experiences due to its location at the head of Resurrection Bay. The bay received its name from Alexander Baranof, who was forced to retreat into the bay during a bad storm in the Gulf of Alaska. It is called the gateway to the Kenai Fjords, as many water taxis, kayak tours, anglers, and recreational boaters use the bay to access the nearby Kenai Fjords National Park. Several tours traverse the bay, passing into the expanse of the Gulf of Alaska. The Gulf of Alaska is an arm of the Pacific Ocean defined by the curve of the southern coast of Alaska, stretching from the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island in the west to the Alexander Archipelago in the east. The Gulf generally reaches a maximum depth of around 9,900 feet or 3,000 meters, or about 1.86 miles. However, the Aleutian Trench, located within the Gulf, has a maximum depth of nearly 27,000 feet, or 8,100 meters, just over 5 miles. The Gulf of Alaska is a rich and diverse marine ecosystem, home to a wide array of sea life including various whale species like the humpback whale, seals, sea lions, porpoises, dolphins, sea otters, and numerous fish and invertebrate species. From the Gulf, Ayalik Bay and Ayalik Glacier can be accessed. The Ayalik Glacier is a glacier in the Kenai Peninsula borough of Alaska. It drains into Ayalik Bay. As the largest tidewater glacier in the area and the largest in Harding Icefield, it stretches over a mile wide. While fairly stable, the glacier calves most actively in May and June, drawing many visitors to view this phenomenon. I can't wait to visit the magnificent state of Alaska myself. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the bell for notifications down below. See you in the next one. Peace.